Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I previously mentioned a few points from Surah Yusuf. I mentioned a few things regarding relationships, the relationship between Yusuf alayhi salam and Yaqub alayhi salam, the relationship between him and his brothers. And towards the end of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that when they recognized him eventually, and they said, "Are you Yusuf?" He said, "I'm Yusuf." They recognized him. Then they said to him that certainly Allah has chosen you over us. We tried to harm you, we tried to get rid of you, we tried to kill you, but Allah saved you, and Allah has preferred you and chosen you over us. What was Yusuf al-Islam's reply, bearing in mind he's a prophet and messenger? He said, "There's no blame upon you today. Here's what it is. Allah will forgive you, and He's the most merciful of the merciful ones." Meaning that there's no issue. Here's what it is. What's happened. We're brothers at the end of the day. And he's saying Allah will forgive you, and He's the most merciful of the merciful ones. He then, Yusuf al-Islam said something very interesting. You see, when Yaqub al-Salam, in his sorrow of losing Yusuf al-Salam, he was crying. And he cried so much that he lost his eyesight. Now, he had eyesight initially, but he lost the eyesight due to crying. So Yusuf al-Islam wasn't aware of this. And what did he do? He said to his brothers, "Idhabu bi qamisi hadha." Take this shirt of mine. And put it over the face of my father. Put my shirt over the face of my father, and he will then be able to see. Meaning his sight will return. And bring me your family all together. Now, there are some people, they have issues regarding religious relics, what we call tabarukat, religious relics. I mentioned to you previously that certain places, certain things, certain times become blessed due to the people that they are linked with and associated with. Yaqub alayhi salam is a prophet of Allah. He's the son of a prophet of Allah, and he's the grandson of the prophet of Allah. He lost his eyesight. Yusuf alayhi salam was also a prophet, is sending his shirt. Look, Yaqub alayhi salam, his son Yusuf alayhi salam could make dua for him, say, "Oh Allah, grant my father, return of his eyesight." Yeah, Allah could grant that. What's he done? He's given him a shirt of his. Meaning that there must be some blessings in the shirt, there mustn't there. That means there's a blessing in an object. So those people say there's no blessing in the objects. And what was Yusuf alayhi salam doing sending his shirt? If there's no blessing in any object. There are blessings in objects, and Allah Almighty places the blessings in objects. And then objects become the means of benefit. The object, the kameez itself, is of no benefit. When Allah Almighty places benefit in that shirt, it becomes then beneficial. So Yusuf alayhi salam, now some people say, it's shirk. How is it shirk? You're telling me two prophets are doing shirk. One prophet is sending shirk and one prophet is receiving shirk. Anyone who says that's the question their own iman. Allah Almighty is telling us here that Yusuf alayhi salam is saying, "Take my shirt and put this shirt on the face of my father. And with the touching of the blessed shirt on my father's face, his eyesight will return." Through whose permission? Allah's. Through whose blessings? Allah's. Who is the curer? The shirt or Allah? Allah. What's the means? The shirt. So this is a very clear proof for Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah when we say that there are blessings in religious relics. Like in the blessed hair Mubarak of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. There are blessings in that. In Masjid Nabawi Sharif itself, in Riyazul Jannah, there are blessings. In the Jali Mubarak, the covers, the Roza Mubarak of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there are blessings. In the cloth of the Kaaba Sharif, there are blessings. Why? Because of what they are and what they are associated with. And here in the Quran, it's not like somebody else is telling you this. This is not a hadith, this is Quran. Quran is saying a prophet is sending his shirt to his father, who's also a prophet, saying that my father will be cured through the shirt. But I don't know why some people are blind when it comes to this. It's ironic that the Qamis is removing the blindness of Yaqub alayhi salam, but yet some people are reading this but still blind to the reality of what Allah Almighty is saying to us here. And then he said, all my family should come here together. And then when the caravan departed from Egypt, from where Yusuf alayhi salam was, the father who was at home, he said, indeed, I find the smell of Joseph. And would say that, basically trying to say that, I think he's alive, I can smell him. The Qamis was coming, wasn't it? And the father could smell the fragrance of his son's shirt from the Qamis that was on its way to him. And he's picked up this scent. Now, the prophetic senses are not the same as normal person senses. Another example here is when you have Sulaiman al-Islam going with his army, and an ant, a female ant, said to the other ants, the colony, get into your burrows in case Sulaiman and his army trample over you without knowing. And when Sulaiman al-Islam heard the ant say this, he smiled and praised Allah. Sulaiman al-Islam has heard the voice of the ant speaking ant language to its colonies and saying, Dosto andar baro vich. Sulaiman al-Islam's army is coming. Knowingly he wouldn't trample on us. He's Prophet of Allah. He wouldn't knowingly damage us and hurt us, but he's coming and him and his army may not even realize they may trample over us. And Sulaiman al-Islam is hearing this. Look at the senses of the Prophet of Allah. Sulaiman al-Islam showing this. And while talking about Sulaiman al-Islam, just one of the things I want to mention is that, Hudhud was a little bird and it wasn't around for a little while. And Sulaiman al-Islam was like, where's Hudhud gone? And when it came, he said, look, I've got some news. Found some information. What was the information? He'd been to a place called Saba, where the queen of Saba, Bilqis, was. They've seen this throne of hers, a massive throne, and it's this and it's that. And then people worship the sun, etc. What Sulaiman al-Islam said was, who's going to bring me her throne? He said in his gathering to his people, who's going to bring me her throne? And there was a jinn. Yeah, a jinn. And the jinn said to Sulaiman alayhi salam, because Sulaiman al-Islam had control over the jinns as well. And he said, the jinn said that I will bring the throne here before your meeting comes to an end. How long are you going to sit in your meeting for? Half an hour, whatever. Before your meeting is over, I will bring the throne here for you. This is what the jinn claimed he could do with his powers. Allah Almighty had given the jinn these powers. And then a person, not jinn, human being said to Sulaiman alayhi salam, I will bring the throne before your eye blinks. Before the blink of an eye, Quran's mentioning this. I'm not telling you some stories that some Babe have said. The Quran is saying that the person said to Sulaiman alayhi salam, I will bring the throne before the blink of an eye. And in the blink of an eye, the throne was there. And now look, people are always scared of jinn. Jinn said, I'll bring the throne before the meeting is over. The human being said, I'll bring it before the blink of an eye. Who was more powerful? The person. Even jinn ko darne ho sare. You don't like mentioning the word jinn in case it ends up going inside you. My brother was asking me the day after, he goes, can you take a jinn out of someone? No, I said, well, try put one in. Can't take one out, try put one in, right? See what happens. So then he brought this throne. Now that person who brought the throne wasn't a prophet. He was a wali of Allah. He was a friend of Allah. He was a disciple of Sulaiman alayhi salam. Disciple of Sulaiman alayhi salam has been given and granted this power. He wasn't a prophet or a messenger. He was from his ummah. And scholars mention that whenever a saint is given powers, it's actually through the sadaqah of the prophet he is following. So any saint who has any powers, this is through the blessings of the prophet that he is the ummati of, the one that he follows. So a couple of things there. One regarding the tabarukat. It doesn't mean that anything and everything is blessed. You can't just grab that water from Costco and say, oh, it's all blessed water. Hardly Zamzam, is it? Because see, the different Zamzam's blessed water because of where it comes from and its association and the land from which it springs forth. Hadha al-balad al-amin is mentioned regarding Makkah Mukarramah, right? So Zamzam water is blessed water. Costco water is water, not so blessed, right? But It's just normal. But can you see that there's a difference between water and water? There's a difference between a shirt and a shirt. There's a difference between hair and hair. This is that the difference between saliva and saliva. The saliva of the Prophet ﷺ is cure, is shifa. It's not the same because of the people it is linked with. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the understanding of these things and protect us from these people who come out with all sorts of rubbish. The Quran padhne mean, but yet they don't see it. This is why Allah Almighty says that many are guided by the Quran and many are misguided by the Quran. Yahdi bihi kathiran wa yudillu bihi kathira. Now many people read the Quran and they're guided, and many read the same Quran and they are misguided. Often it's about the approach that they have. Sometimes they're looking for faults in other people, then they don't even see the truth themselves. May Allah Almighty allows us to see this. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.